so dumb. 認めろ。おめえの日本語はクズだ. I'll come back to that in a sec, just later. So this one time I was getting beers with a Japanese friend of mine, I'll call him Y, and he mentioned a mutual friend of ours, whom I'll call S, and S was not a native speaker of Japanese, and Y said something along the lines of, you know, Nico, I always thought your Japanese was really good, but S is like a native Japanese speaker. He's the best at speaking Japanese of any foreigner I've ever met. And when Y told me that, I'll be honest, it sort of hurt my feelings. And it took me a while to come to terms with the fact that I don't care if S is better than me at Japanese. This is something I find I often have to remind myself. Just today, I saw a video posted by Dogen in which he reacts to a video posted by that Japanese man Yuta, in which he gets his Japanese compared to that of two other non-native speakers who are also YouTubers. And I noticed when I read the title of the video and I started watching it, I had this sort of feeling of anxiety that, oh, are these three people better than me at Japanese? And I have no way of knowing that because there's a lot more to a person than what you hear them saying, especially in something that's like a YouTube video. But it doesn't matter. And the reason it doesn't matter is because we probably all have different goals when it comes to what level of Japanese we want to attain. At the moment, I don't really try to improve my Japanese at all. And to be honest, I've gone about 9 months hardly speaking any Japanese as I'm in the US right now. And I'm trying to only use English with my wife so that she gets better at speaking English. It's okay that I'm not trying to improve my Japanese right now because I have hit the goal that I had for learning Japanese, which was first, I wanted to be able to consume media that I enjoy, so play video games, read books, stuff like that. And two, I wanted to build relationships with Japanese people. And you know, now I have family and friends who don't speak English, and I'm pretty happy with that. Later on, I developed a third goal, which was to be good enough at Japanese that Japanese people I don't know will speak to me like a normal person, which has a lot to do with your pronunciation and things like that. But anyways, if I've achieved those three goals, what does it matter if some other person learning the language has reached this level that is so crazy high that it's better than any native speaker on the planet even? The thing is, even if you're not interested in speaking the language, you're going to feel pressure to be good at speaking it. And not only to be good at speaking it, but to be perceived as good at speaking it, which has a lot to do with your pronunciation and just how talkative and social you are in general. And as a result, you might be around other people learning the language who seem a lot better than you, and it might make you feel pretty bad. You might find that there's a voice in the back of your head sometimes, and I'll bet it's very critical of your ability. And I'll bet it's also very vague about what your ability should look like, because that voice has nothing to do with your Japanese learning goals, and it has everything to do with making you stop doing the thing that makes you uncomfortable, which is working hard to learn the language. You can get to any level you want. I passed JLPT N1 about 8 years ago, and I'm much better at Japanese than I was back then. And I still get these feelings of inadequacy every now and then. And I do have a tendency to compare myself to other people learning the language, even when their goals look nothing like my goals. Even when they want to get to a level that's much higher than the level that I aspire to. Because I'm pretty much done learning Japanese and I want to go learn other stuff. And I hope that someday you get much better than I am, and that I don't feel jealous when you do. It's gonna bug me if we don't teach the Japanese that we use in the video. So real quick, let's just go through the skit that I did. I said, 認めろ、おめえの日本語はクズだ. So 認める means to admit, it's a verb. And we had it ending in ro because it's in the command form. So 認める becomes 認めろ. And then we had ome, which is a more crude way of saying omae, which is already a crude and possibly very rude way of saying you. And then we also had nihongo, which means Japanese language. So when we put no between the two, ome no nihongo, it means your Japanese. And then kuzu is like garbage or waste. And da sort of adds a bit of emphasis here. Not usually, okay, so it's not that common to end your casual sentences with da unless you want to have some sort of emphasis or something. Textbooks and fictional language, like in TV shows and things, may lead you to think otherwise, but people don't use it that often in casual language, unless, like right here, we are adding emphasis. And I'm not even going to get into why the particle was included here. Okay, that's it. You just learned some Japanese. Thank you. Goodbye.